don't know who I am, but I know all about you. I've come to talk to you tonight about the things I've seen. I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold hard truth.
Okay, good evening, folks, and welcome to another segment of the Cold Hard Truth. I am your host, Sandy Hill. We are here this evening, Tuesday evening. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Bringing you the Cold Hard Truth as usual, another really hard-hitting segment. I'm pleased to have a guest with me joining in the studio session, and her name is also Sandy, and Sandy is going to be telling us a little bit about her experiences. Now, as you guys will remember, for the past week, we've been discussing the general topic of domestic violence in the Cayman Islands, and several specific cases, one of which is Sandy's case, where her ex-husband, or I think he was going to be her soon-to-be ex-husband, went to her workplace and attacked her at work. Now, Sandy is going to give us all of the details in terms of, what their relationship was like. Was it always tumultuous when the issue started? And what, were some of the issues, apologies, that she had to endure during the course of the relationship and the marriage. So we will be taking your questions and comments as usual. I see over 100 of you are already tuned into the program, so thank you very much for tuning in. Tiesha, I think that's how we pronounce it, says it's 7 o'clock now. Don't worry, we're definitely on time. And Simone is asking what the topic is. So Simone, if you're just tuning in, we've got Sandy, who is a domestic violence survivor, who was attacked several weeks ago and really could have quite easily lost her life. We're going to speak to her about her experience, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about what it was like in that specific relationship. A lot of people came on the day that we had the show, asking and making a lot of comments and questions. And I think she just really wanted to come onto the program and kind of literally set the record straight, as our theme song indicates. So good evening, Sandy, and we want to welcome you this evening to the Cold Hard Truth. How are you? So Sandy, maybe we could start at the very beginning so that this makes a little bit more sense for people, because oftentimes it's difficult for people to understand how you end up in whatever situation that you are in. So we know that your case ended quite tragically with you being attacked and your husband or ex-husband now deceased. But where did the relationship begin? I'm assuming that it wasn't always bad, right?
No.
Yeah.
It just escalated after months.
So when did you and your husband meet? Because I think one of the questions that was in a lot of our minds is, obviously you're a little bit older than your husband. So we're curious about, what did you guys have in common? How did you meet? What was the relationship like early on?
Okay, it's just that I always be bumping into him. It's like everywhere he was always there. And I remember our first encounter, it's like he was up staring at us, and I said to him, bad manners to stare, and he was like just laughing. And then it continues like that. Like everywhere I go, he was always there and he keeps staring. And I said, you need to say something and stop staring, because that's bad manners, So we kind of just kick it off with chit chatting now and then, here and here. So we start like just hanging out, going places with family, friends, and everything like that, till it eventually get closer and closer and closer.
Right. So it was just started out in social circles. Then you would go out and you would see him out and about, and then the two of you would talk and, you know, have a good laugh and get to know each other a little bit more. Yeah.
Right.
And then eventually it led into a relationship. Now, when you entered the relationship with him, what were your expectations? Like, were you expecting to be in an exclusive relationship with him? Did he understand that?
He was young, but he was not naive about relationship and life and
Okay.
expectation of life. So we had our good talk about everything. There was a lot of things discussed. We understood each other. We understand about everything. So it's not like we were expecting this big turn. It's a lot of frustration and a lot of things that leads to a lot of our problems that we have because
Mhm.
we don't personally have problems of our own. We don't have like, you know, our bills or whatever, those problems. We never had that problem because he
Right.
was just left to sort his thing out that he was, whatever he had to do. And
Yeah.
I was just taking care of whatever I had to. But then, you know, as it goes along, it was like there's a lot of expectations start and demand that start coming on top of it, which it was like really frustrated about, you know, and I reach out to those people and I talk to them about it. But it
Hmm.
was the fact that no one cares where or how it is done. It
Hmm.
needed to be done. And I have messages and thing. I was trying to put across a couple of them that could understood what took place because at one point I remember he was staring and told him and said was he was frustrated and he's trying to do stuff for himself. He wanted to go back to school. We went to class at ICTI. He wanted to get his driver's license. He didn't have one. He wanted to do some things for his personal self. He had so many demands. He couldn't, you know, he couldn't meet up to getting those stuff done. And then he was starting to get mad.
Now let me just back up a little bit, Sandy. So before you guys got married, how long were you actually dating for?
We did about 5 months before we got
About
married.
5 months. Okay. Do you think now that you look back on it, do you think that that was sufficient time?
No, and there was a main issue that led to the speedy marriage. If there was supposed to be a marriage, the fact that he was supposed to leave because he was employed by one of his relatives, and he got a letter that he had to leave the island because there was no more work for him to do, and he was not allowed to stay on the island.
Okay. So now this makes a little bit more sense in our minds because I think a
I
lot
did
of us were kind of wondering, you know,
exactly.
how much time you guys were together. Did you take your time to really get to know him and that sort of thing? So, really and truly, you admit that there were external factors about him potentially leaving the island that then
Exactly.
kind of forced you into quickie marriage after only
I
dating each other for 5 months.
actually, Sandy, I did actually went to the bank and I got him off of what his permit was about because the permit like 2005 and I got him $1,000 and I said, it's all right then. Let's find another permit person to do your permit for you. But then he came back another week and he told me that he gave it to the person and they took it for his health and pension because it was paying. But there it goes again. So
Mm,
the question about getting married one more time, and it did happen after a lot of conversation between us and a lot of whatever it is we decided and as all right, you know what I mean, just do
mhm.
whatever we do and because we're together, people see, you know, it's family know about us then and everything. So I don't understand, you know.
Right.
So it's just like, all right, we're doing this and goes from there with life was what life was, you know what I mean?
Hmm. So you get married. Did that help his situation in terms of employment? Because then he was able to get a job, presumably without a work permit.
Yes, he did. He actually got a PR, which is a permanent residency working without whatever it's called.
Right.
And He started back into construction, and then it wasn't working out for him because he was still like, he's not a professional person.
Yeah.
So he had to do the hard part of the job, like labor work, whatever. He's not professional. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we have to do the jobs that is just the common part of the job.
Okay.
It was still a strain on him because he had so much things to do, so much demand,
Right.
so many things to take care of. So
Right.
whenever I get frustrated about all those stuff, whatever they call about stuff, he would get angry and he'd lash out. If you talk to him, he just get lash out, very rude, disrespectful, and things like that.
Right. So you're saying then that a major strain that was in the relationship was the fact that he had, I'm assuming these are financial obligations, being put on him from other people. So he has a child. I saw that he had a child. She looks to be
His
quite
child, his
young.
child, honestly, his child wasn't his issue because she was she was not even of so much expense to him as the rest of people. You understand what I'm saying? Because I myself used to give him money to send for his kid
Yeah.
and make sure she is okay because I felt that was an obligation between both of us. Not everybody is. You understand what I'm saying? So she wasn't the issue, and I always argue with him. I tell him, I don't care what you do, just make sure that child is been taken care of because that's your obligation and mine. So I don't really care about other people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't an issue. She wasn't even nothing to worry about. She was an issue.
Right. So who were, I'm just curious then, who were these other people that were putting pressure on him? Like parents, sisters, what are we talking about here?
His brother, and he had to pay back one of his brother for taking him, sending him here to first place in Cayman. He was asked to pay back that money for that permit, for the
Mm-hmm.
plane fare and all those stuff. And it was killing him, honestly, because he wasn't working much money. I didn't took anything from him. I tell him, I said, make a budget and then you can work, do this accordingly and get it over with. So I don't understand all these people talking these things where they don't know what time it is. Because at one point his mom referred that I should go to the NWDA and the immigration department to get back his pension money and his permit monies because all those money were deducted from his pay while he was working with the
Mm-hmm.
family member. And I told him I don't want to get involved with those family issues. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I become the monster because he need to leave Cayman and go to the UK or go to the US where he can make more money and he can do more things. But I didn't want it to be a part of the family view that he had.
Mm-hmm. So, but they do understand that those are monies you can't just go and take back. I mean, you have to.
Exactly. I have to prove to them and whatever it is. And I didn't want to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you didn't notice these. I mean, you said really one of the things that drove you guys to get married in the first place was him trying to get a better financial footing. So you saw some indications even before you got married that financial stresses were probably going to be a part of your ongoing life, right?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Because I
but did
realized
you
it
appreciate
was,
how bad it was going to be, or?
no, I didn't thought that it would be this bad because as I told you, we started to put things in place like he going back to school, to further his education to get something, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
we are working on him mostly because he had a lot of stuff that he need to work from. Because he disclosed to me that he left home from he was 17.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't much that he had. He was just out there. He have a kid which is 4, and you know what I mean. So yeah, he was practically doing life on his own
Mm-hmm.
with without a guidance or whatever like that. So I understood, and I as a parent and a mother, I stood by him with those things. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I was pressuring him for, to be. I was more like trying to help him to be someone that in life he could have been more of a help to his child. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And instead,
Okay, so financial pressures we know can be things that alone would break up a relationship. We've seen lots of marriages crumble under financial pressures, but based on what we understand and have heard, and you can tell us, if this is accurate or not, through the mall road, so to speak, there were also issues of infidelity and other concerns. Can you tell us a little bit about what you experienced there?
okay, or so like it's about the in the like the 7th month of our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
He broke his phone at work, so he took one of my phones because I have to, and he was using it. And one evening I went home when he came home from work, but he was just laying on the floor, and it, there was some sort of suspicion on him, and I like really what's that mean? And there he was texting a friend of mine, and they were trying to make a date or whatever. Anyhow, it wasn't even a big part. They were,
Mm-hmm.
but then it seemed to go on and on and on, and we separated for 5 months in that period of time. And I told him, just let's take some time away. You decide on what you're doing, and I'm fine. I just can't deal with all of this. You know what I mean? Because I have my job, I have my kids, I don't have anything to do with all of that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it continues, and it continues, and it doesn't stop. I saw him with people out. I saw him with ladies out. He come to my workplace with females. I think I didn't argue with him. I just let him be because he was just having the time of his life. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
So it's the fact that I really took myself away from the whole thing, and I was just like, whatever happened, happened. I don't really care. I'll just hope and find someone who, you know what I mean? And I just left it at that place, and that's about it. So it's not that I used to fight him about these girls. I didn't even know that there were so many of them until this incident. I didn't know anything. I just know of one person, and then I know like there was like 5 or 4 different people now, and then
So you're
everybody
saying that now that he has passed away, other women have contacted you, or you've learnt about other relationships that he was having?
there's a ton of them. There are a ton of them. It's there. Everyone is trying to blame me for his passing, and I didn't even know that he was with them.
Mm.
Everyone is claiming he is their man or their boyfriend or their this or that. I didn't know anything of these people. I honestly didn't know anything of them. I just know one girl in the last that he sent her number to me, asked me to tell her want to go back to his marriage. I told him that was not my responsibility, and I did not want anything to do with it.
So he wanted you to message a girl so that he could get rid of the girl?
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Sandy, let's just go ahead and read some of the comments because we do have quite a few comments coming in. Now, you do appreciate that some of these comments are not always going to be the nicest comments, so you just have to bear with us as we go through them. Simone says, obviously, she didn't take her time getting to know him. And I think you've admitted to that maybe the 5 months wasn't really enough. Debbie was saying, Simone, you need to listen. I think because Simone kept asking what the topic was. So Simone says, hate when grown women with kids do stupidness. I think she's just referring to the poor decision of marrying him. Kayla Thompson, who we should say is his sister, tuned in from Jamaica, is saying that you're lying. Indira says, you're a warrior and just keep happy. You're okay. Simone says, people are very unpredictable. Owen seems to know something about the situation. He says, lie you a tell, you stress out the youth. Enough time him come on my yard, come complain about the treatment he was getting. What sort of treatment do you think he was complaining to people about?
I really don't know because we were separated for 9 months. So I don't understand what he was
So
talking about.
in this marriage that was 2 years, of the 2 years you were separated for 9 months?
9 and 5 is 14 months.
So you were married for 14 months.
We've married 2 years, separated for 14 months.
So,
The year we
oh,
were separated for 5 months, and this year we separated for 9 months.
wow. So most of the time during this marriage you were separated.
Thank you.
Now, I've heard that there was a lot of back and forth between the two of you. So how many times during that time would you say you made up and went back together and made up and went back together?
We wasn't going back together. It was just a fact that he always turned up. He always want back, and I decided not to go back. That's a stand I took, and I told him I was going back to living with him because he doesn't have any manners, don't have no respect, and it's the truth. And you
Mm-hmm.
can't just be disrespectful to people, even at his age. He's yeah, a baby at 1 year will know when he's being disrespectful. So you know what I mean. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going to put up with it, and I told him straight it wasn't happening.
Yeah. All right. So Kayla, his sister, says that you abused her brother and come here with the Gus telling lie. One damn time you send money for the baby. But I
I
mean,
won't,
uh-huh.
Sandy, I won't listen to them because they are. I don't want to bash them. Honestly,
Yeah.
I am not to know 18 no one. I don't bashing anyone, but
Mm-hmm.
they know the truth.
Yeah.
Because I reached out to them and I told him she was the one who called me the Sunday before this to find out what happening when she knew everything that was happening. She knew of everyone. So it's best for them to let him sleep in peace because the only thing he was crying about that night is that he's tired and he needs rest.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So
So
I am not
Simone,
with issues only because I am a stranger married to him and they don't know me and then whatever. But I've done for them. I've just sent money for them father to go back to Canada farm work. What they're talking about because he couldn't find it and they were on his ass.
wow.
His dad had a relapse somewhere in some farm that they have there. I was the one who sent the money for him to get to the doctor because no one was there to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand. He was just playing a game with everybody's mind to get
Mm-hmm.
away with whatever. He wasn't telling them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
If we had that conversation when I told him, I said, do you explain to them, okay, man, if you don't have a proper education, you can't get a proper job that will pay you properly.
Right.
Do you tell them how much you are making? Do you let them know where you're at?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why I am the one who causing all of this thing.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Our conversation on Tuesday was that because he came to my workplace and he waited for me to finish work with one shift. And he told me, he said, Sandy, I can't go back home. And I'm going to be frank and I'm going to be open because I'm scared inside out and I really don't even care about the negativity about things. I care about the truth and the fact. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't wish death on anyone, nor myself or anyone. I don't hate people. I don't hold grudge. I rather be not seen or heard before I do something to hurt anyone. He expressed to me that Sandy, I don't want to go back home. He said we all make mistakes and I go out there and I do things and I want back my marriage. I sent that messages on the Cayman Mall Road with the date, the time and everything, the conversation we had. He said if he went back, he would left Jamaica from a rent place to here. He haven't traveled back to Jamaica but once in the 4 years or 5 years that he's here. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't get the privilege to be himself because he have to do for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He said his mom and his sister is in one place. His dad place is not finished. He have to spend all his money that he tried to save to
Mm-hmm.
help take care of his mom because she's diabetic and she's sick and she needs special food. She needs special medication. I understand all of that. That's the
Mhm.
reason why I left him alone, because
Mhm.
I understood what he was going through, so I didn't bother him.
Mhm.
I work very hard for what I have. I work very hard, and I try my best not to bother him, and I never asked him for anything.
Mhm.
So for her to saying all these things, she is just an hypocrite, and she know that.
Mhm.
She know that. They played him that the baby stood on a teacher phone for months for him to buy back a phone. When the child said, "Daddy, I didn't step on that phone.
Mm.
I didn't break the phone. Someone else break the phone."
Mm.
So, you know, these people they need to face reality. They need to face the reality of the fact.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, Sandy, let's read a few more comments and then I'm going to come back to you with some questions. So Simone says, Lord God, always two sides to the story. Indira says, Owen, you seem to know an awful lot, but seem to never have any solutions to offer. Simone says Jamaicans need to come and work and go back home and stop getting a relationship with these women. Well, I don't know what when Simone says these women, I'm not sure what she means by that. I mean, obviously, if he's here, he's going to want to probably be in a relationship with someone. Now, Sandy, you're originally from Jamaica yourself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not like, I know last week they were trying to say, kind of like pitting, oh, maybe this is a Kimanian trying to take advantage of a Jamaican, but you're a Jamaican that has just been here a very long time.
My mom brought me here. My stepfather had up me, and I go here. I am from Jamaica. I have, you know, Jamaica background, everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I mean, this concept then of you using him, you're saying that this is completely false.
seriously,
Yeah. Okay. Now, I mean, there's a lot of perceptions, Sandy, I'll be honest, between, a lot of Jamaican men coming here. Some of them want a lot of sympathy that women here are taking advantage of them. I mean, my personal experience has been that it's something that goes both ways. And in most cases, it's actually the men, or not even men, but women and men coming from abroad, they're looking for a step up in life. So they're looking for someone who can help them be in a better position. And like you said, in a lot of instances, it's not just about taking care of themselves, but they are also looking for someone to help take care of the family and assist with the family back home, because there is that expectation that when you go abroad, or you go a foreign, as they call it, you're making so much money that you have to be sending money back to people and buying people new fandangles and, as you said, new phones and this and that. Um,
only
and this isn't unique
I have a
to
text.
this situation.
I have a message that I reached out to his mom a couple months ago to let her know that, because she said someone came to Jamaica and told her that he's taking drugs. And he came to me and he was mad, he was crying and he was upset. And I said to him, I said, Davian, it's not everything you get upset about. Some things you have to ignore because, people do talk things, and you have to just not take everything personal.
Right.
And she messaged, and I said to her, I said, it's not everything people say goes the way it goes, because, people bash people because of, other stuff. And I
Mm-hmm,
said, actually, he's really frustrated because he's working, and by living by himself, he's facing paying his bills and everything because, he's by himself. So he
mm-hmm,
was making that. It didn't have to. And she told me that, she said, "Oh, I'm sorry that you have to do that. That's what foreign is all about. The bills have to pay." And I didn't understand, what she was saying. And I said to him, I said, "I don't understand this, but, whatever she's saying, she know what she's saying." So she quoted me a thing from the Bible. She said, when God was making bread, everyone got. But when man making bread, some people get and some people will not get.
okay.
I was like, wow, that's, I just left it there, and I said, well, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not God and I'm not a baker, so I just need to all right. So leave it out.
Wow.
Yes. And I have all these messages. messages. I'm not trying to look good, but I know in my heart, I didn't do him anything. I didn't ask him for anything. I didn't hold no papers over his head.
Mm-hmm.
And for they say he get a divorce, he didn't get a divorce because he took all the paper and destroyed it when I gave it to him to sign. And he destroyed everything and threw it away. So I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to get into some more details. Let's read just a few more comments. So Kamark says, Kima needs to make a law after 3 marriages, no more. How many times have you been married, Sandy?
Twice.
You've been married twice. So this marriage with this young man, Thompson, was your second marriage?
Wow.
Okay, well, you haven't reached this three person limit then that Kamark is referring to. Simone says the only thing I can blame, he should have walked away peacefully. Life goes on. Kayla, you keep saying the same thing, so I don't think we need to post those unless you have something specific you want to say. So Simone says, do you expect Sandy, you married a child, he was ready to settle. I guess she meant to say he wasn't ready to settle down. Sometimes we as women ignore the red flags. And I think that you have admitted that, you probably rushed into it a little bit.
That's why I left him alone. That's why I didn't put any pressure on him. I leave him alone.
Yeah. So Indira says, yes, that's my view as well. We all make mistakes no matter how old or young we are. Life is continuous lesson, and through everything, there's a lesson to learn and always a solution. Marsha Gay says, dead man tells no tales, but God knows. Oh my God, I just. And then Clinton wants a translator for some of these messages because he's saying he's not understanding them. And then Indira says, yes, we do ignore the red flags, and that's our weakness as women. And Simone is saying the same thing again about your married child. I think, Simone, you're getting a little repetitive. We get your point. And so Juanita says, Kamark, I think even 3 is too much. 1 or 2, everyone makes mistakes. Okay. So Kayla says, Keneal was working with Leon, so you guys know the truth. Liard girl when she talking about permit. Simone says, sweetheart, it's time of women need wise up. Marsha Gay says, one thing for sure, you are still his wife, so let's see how the burial will go. So they're expecting you to bury him, is what she's saying?
Oh God. I know the goodness of my heart, I may do it.
Wow. So Bev says, March, you separated. So these people are telling you when you separated from this man?
Since January, the 4th of January, we separate our ways.
Okay, tell us, I understand that there were a number of times when you contacted the police because the relationship got tumultuous. Tell us, when did the physical abuse start?
Actually, it starts in I don't want like in May at the same location that he came and we had this thing here. He came there one evening and he seems like he was drunk because he drank very much as much. And he wanted me to go with him after work, So I said that no, I have to pick up my daughter after work and we're going home because she have her school in the morning. And he's like, Sandy, why are you doing this? Why you don't want to come with me or whatever? And I said, listen, you need to go home. I'm not going anywhere with you. Understand? And I went to walk off and he grabbed onto my arm. And I just like really, flashed my hand back from him out his arm and he hit it. And he run into me and like, you want me fucking break your neck? So I like, you know what, sorry. I like, you need to go because I am not, I say you need to go. And that's when the first time I called the police. Then
And
when Saturday came to me,
when was that?
this was in May.
May of this year.
Yes.
Okay.
And then he came like 2 weeks Saturday after that. I was at work at the government building. He came there also. And he was sitting on the floor and he was acting all kind of crazy. And I like, you need to go, please. There's a lot to this story that a lot of people don't know. And they need to just let it be, because it's not just as they say it.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to leave, and he was acting up. So my supervisor said, Sandy, I think you need to call the police and have this gentleman removed, or else we have to remove him from the location. And I have to do that again. One evening I was going home and I stopped to get my cigarettes. I left my handbag on the car seat. I didn't close the car. I just left it when in the store, and I came back out and he took my handbag and threw it on the ground. Then we had another, ruffling there, and I called the police again, and they warned him that one time, and he
Mm-hmm.
was upset because the police came and warned him, kind of like, oh, you call the police on me and this and that and all kind of stuff, and I like, you know what, just leave me alone, let me be. I don't want, just let me be. So,
Yeah.
but the fact is that it was mentally destroying me, because his mouth was so, I don't know, it didn't think about what he was saying, and it was very, very disrespectful. And then whenever he find himself doing that, then he come back around and he just like, oh, I'm sorry, and the frustration, let me do this and this, and then it started to paint a picture that I know was escalating, and I said, you know what, the best for both of us to just go our way. I told him, I said, take as much as time as you want, sort yourself out, do what you want to do, but we just need to stay away from each other.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Kayla wants to join the live. Now, Kayla, you had an opportunity last week to come onto the program. We're not really here about having two people getting into a fighting match on this program. You're able to post your comments. You turned down your opportunity last week. So Sandy contacted us about coming on today. So I think we need to let Sandy have our time. You're still sending your comments in, and we're obviously still seeing and reading your comments. So that's the best that we can do for you this evening. Next time, hopefully there won't be a next time for you, but if you still want to come on the program, maybe on Thursday, we can try to accommodate you. But yeah, we try to give everyone an opportunity to come on here and to have their say. But I think creating a situation where she's probably cursing at you and carrying on and nobody can get the sense of either story just doesn't make any sense. So Andrea says, I think when you marry a person who's half your age, you're setting yourself up to get hurt. It's sad. Rest in peace, young man. Wish it could have been resolved better. Bev says, Keneal, money you send, go give him. I don't know exactly what that means, but anyway. Sherry says, exactly, because they are immature. Kayla's still asking to come on the live. I think we've just responded to that. Bev says, lies. He went home one time, which I think is what you said. So in the time that he was in Cayman, he only went home once, which is a bit unusual, to be honest, because I find most Jamaicans, especially when they're just here, they'll go home at least once or twice for the year. Normally like Christmas and then another time or so. So maybe that kind of supports what you were saying earlier about maybe he didn't have the financial means to do so. Kamark says she's a nice woman. Try get to know her. She works hard. I know that. Bev says, or Indira said, Bev Fisher, where was he getting the money from? Andrea says exactly, but I don't know what comment she's referring to. Irvelyn says that was before she got stitched up. If you look closely, you'll see the marks. Okay, so we're going to talk about your interviews here in just a minute. So you had a couple run-ins with him, a couple violent incidents, but obviously nothing compared to the last incident. Now, break it down to us. At what point did you actually start the divorce proceedings, like filing the documents? And then maybe he understood that, okay, this is for real. This is now serious.
All right. But the divorce, he was the one who pressuring me on this thing. He sent me tons of voice notes, calling me names and this, wanting divorce, and he can't. But at one time he had posted on the Facebook that he wanted divorce. So I went and I get the paper and everything, and I filled it out, and I took it to the court office. because it cost $2,500 for a divorce.
Mm.
So with the police, I asked at the counseling center, how can I get this done? Because he was just, on top of me about this divorce and canceling papers and all kind of crap. So they advised me, Sandy, if you can't pay the 2005 and if he's willing to pay with you, then fine, but take it to legal aid. I submitted to legal aid and they said if they get 3 of his previous pay stubs and 3 of mine, then they can proceed to see if they can assist with me getting this thing done.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave me the whole file and everything. I had it on my car seat and he came one day and he said he was going to look for a job and he wanted to borrow a car and I left the car again. He took all the papers and he destroyed it. He said to me, he said, Sandy, I'm not giving you any pay stub until you find me a proper job. Then I give you what you want. So fine, can you, no problem.
Okay. So at first he wanted the divorce and he was pushing you. And then when you
Exactly.
started to file the papers for legal aid and to try to get the process started, you're saying then he came back, destroyed the papers, and said that you had to find him a job first.
Exactly.
Okay.
So my understanding, what happened last week, the week before this incident, is that he told me that I asked him, I say, why he wanted to come back home, want back his marriage. He want me to take my car from my daughter and give it to him because I had 2 cars. And he
Mm-hmm.
wanted to think it was penciling out is how he's going to pay the people that he was renting from because he owed them $2,400 for rent. It was
Mm-hmm.
penciling how he's going to do his paycheck, everything. It was all his idea, and I told him I can't actually listen. You are making all these plans, but I am right here and I am not into this right now to think about all this. I don't want to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He was just making all these plans. But I asked him, I said, what is going on with you and your next person that you're with? And he said, Sandy, to be honest with you, she's married also. And she can't help me to pay for no divorce. And I don't have any money to pay for no divorce. And I think it's best that I come back home because we all make mistakes and I need to get my marriage back.
Mm.
So
So he found another woman who was married.
she married, she separated, but her husband is still here. They're still married.
Okay. So she couldn't really help him with certain things then.
No,
My goodness. All right. So Bev claims that he had to pay her $400 a month for papers because she was holding them over his head. Is this true?
he didn't have $400 for himself. Much like
Mm-hmm.
I never took a dollar from Kenny for nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. Joelle says, Sandy, you're a brave woman, and it doesn't matter the circumstances. No woman deserves to be abused, mistreated, or attacked by any man. Indira says, stop your stupidness about hold papers. Obviously, he told you anything to get in your clothes. You're a married woman being with a married man. Hush, please. Oh, okay. So Bev was one of the other women based on that
Yeah,
comment. Oh, what a mess.
she,
No.
she's all up. She's all up in my inbox, in my messages and all of that. She needs to go and just give him
Mm,
what you have given him. Some peace, something. Because I am still his wife.
Debbie says if he was
So
married,
even
he should be paying her money. Kayla is still saying it's a lie. Kamika says, for what? And Bev says, no man deserves to be abused, and Camille is not here to tell his story. Well, his sister shared some of his story, which we, invited her on to tell more if she wanted to. Winnie says, Mom, you are a survivor, strong and brave. So the thing about situations like this that's so interesting is that people are very quick to take sides, because they think
kind of
they know the situation, because they think they know the person. Um, they, you know, like you said, maybe he was out there telling people what benefited him and what he wanted them to hear.
That's exactly the
And you know,
that's
it might have. I mean, I could easily see from both directions how telling one particular story helps one person versus the other person. You know, so while he was out there seeing multiple women, et cetera, the thing to do is, you know, tell this narrative that you're a mean person, you're taking money from him, because then that makes him look like he's a better person.
exactly.
So, I mean, some of this makes sense. We're going to take a little bit of what you're saying, a little bit of what they put forward in his case. But, you know, at the end of the day, the truth does lie, I think, somewhere in between. Evelyn says age doesn't matter, doesn't have a thing to do with it. Maturity does. Bev says, so why did you move back in by the one-stop appointments? I think she means apartments, I'm not sure. When you found out he had a woman.
I don't know what she's talking about.
Okay. Tamika says, not here bashing her or the man. Or the man Jamaican knows a Jamaican. That's a fact. It's sad though. You know, one of the things, Sandy, that has come up in this conversation was the fact that there's a lot of violence that happens here in the Cayman Islands, a lot of domestic violence. But at the same time, Jamaica does have a reputation for also being one of the most violent countries in the world, and that there is a lot of domestic violence that happens in the Cayman Islands, in Jamaica as well. And there's a lot of what we call murder suicide. So they'll come and kill you and then take their own lives. Now let us focus on the details of the attack. So you were at work when this happened?
Yes, I was.
So tell us exactly what went down and how did it play out?
I was just at work trying to. It was like probably an hour and a couple minutes for my shift to ended. When he came, he jumped the fence, like the fence to the two building,
So you were
and
outside.
yes, because I actually have to work outside at that location.
Okay.
So he jumped the fence. He came to the car. He put his bag with all his stuff, a bag that he had thrown over his shoulder in my car front, and he walked away. And I just opened the trunk of the car and sit on it, and I like just take a side. And within that side, that's when I felt the impact on my stomach. And I thought it was like a slap or something, but
Mhm.
then eventually I started feeling all the blood coming out, and then start feeling
So
it, and then
he slashed you, and I heard that he was actually trying to slash your throat. Is that the feeling that
exactly.
you got?
It's not like slashing, it was more like stabbing.
Oh,
And it
he was
was the same
stabbing
thing
at
he did. I said, Kenny, you going to kill me? Didn't kill. And he like, nothing. He didn't say a word, anything. He was just cold. But then I saw like two of his friends that he always hung with. And they told me that he was saying this to them like 3 weeks before it happened, that he was planning on killing me and killing himself because if he don't get back his marriage, that's what he's going to do. So I said to one of the guys, I said, if he's telling you that, why didn't you one of you guys talk to him? Why didn't you guys,
Mhm.
say something or whatever? You just wait until it actually happened, and it's out like they say, oh, you were drinking, so we just didn't pay much attention about it.
Mm-mm. Okay, so he stabbed you in the top of your head, and we do have some pictures here of your injuries, which we know you hadn't seen, I think, until maybe even just a couple days ago. So that stab across your face, I mean, obviously you have had surgery to stitch that up. Did you pass out at the scene? Like, what was the next thing that you remember?
Uh, I can't remember much because at one point I know I was on the ground and he was standing over me, and then I don't know what happened. much after that until I was actually transported to the hospital. So I don't really
So
reflect
how,
on much
how
what
did
was
you
that.
get help? Someone came for you, or?
Someone came and took me there. I asked this gentleman to use my car to take me to the hospital. So
Oh,
that's much as I can recall of everything that was going on.
wow. And then you were in the ICU for how long?
I was there like a week.
For about a week. Did he contact you at all after this incident?
No, I didn't have my phone, sorry.
Right. Because eventually they discovered his body into the following week. And I understand that it looks like maybe after he attacked you, he went and committed suicide shortly thereafter. What are your thoughts? I mean, when you look back on this whole situation, Sandy, do you think anything could have been done any differently to have a different outcome than this?
I don't know. I just think that the people that he was expressing all these things to, if they had spoke to him, you know, other than just drinking with him and smoking with him or just partying, maybe they would have talked some sense into him, because even with marriage or papers and whatever, it didn't have to go too far, because there are other options, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of more options out there. And I was supposed to be going with him the next morning to immigration to resolve all these whatever was happening. I don't know what took place or what you understand. So I don't understand. It's as I said, I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
know,
even after all of this, you're saying to us, yes, you guys were gonna be getting a divorce, all this stuff. You were still willing to go um, with him to immigration to see how you could help.
exactly, because he asked me to go with him. His time would be up on the Wednesday, it's on the Tuesday, and he came and saw me the Tuesday afternoon. He asked me to go with him to be his sponsor, and I told him everything would be fine. I will go with him, be his sponsor, go with work wherever they tell us from there. You know what I mean? If it's to get a work permit or whatever, and work on whatever, just to get him back on his feet and get where I'm going. So I don't know what I really don't know what he was in out so many worlds. So I can't answer all his questions for him.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Um, just a few more comments and then we're going to wrap things up. So this, I think, is another Beverly. It says, I'm just so sorry that he could not find someone to talk to who could have helped him. Then today he could still be alive, or just maybe things could be better. Kamika's asking if he worked at Massive. I don't really know. Debbie said he should have found his own job. Indira says, Mommy, you don't owe anyone an explanation. That's fact. You committed no crimes and broke no laws. Focus on healing mentally, physically, emotionally, and everything. People always have something to say, whether good or bad. Amanda says, Sandy, I love your show. Woot woot. Anybody trouble me, I tell them I go in Cayman Mall Road. Boy, I never see so many people cooperate and behave so fast. Okay. So someone's asking, why and how did he get fired from Massive? I don't know.
He
That's
was,
probably. So did he work at Massive at some point?
yes, he was.
Okay. And he had lost that job.
I don't know what happened with the mama.
Okay. All right. Someone is saying that you went to immigration on him and they took away his rights to work. Well, I think I explained this last week, and it's probably worth saying again. When you're in the process and you're separating from someone, you're no longer living together with that person. If they had received their rights to work certificate through you, you have a legal obligation to notify immigration that you are no longer with this person. And if you don't, you're actually committing an offense. So if you went to immigration, that was actually the lawful thing to do. If you didn't and you allowed him to remain here on island, just running around doing whatever, and immigration thinks that he's still married to you and like in a relationship with you, then that is where the offense would actually have been committed. So I just want to clarify that. Shara says, I'm just glad that you're alive, Sandy, and stay strong and firm. Sasha says, Miss Sandy, I don't know the life that you and your husband had, but I've known you for many years, and you was a woman that would encourage me when my life was downhill. And when I got my life together, finally, you keep encouraging me to keep my head up. You are a wonderful woman. It breaks my heart that you had to go through all of this, but God will see you through. God bless you, Miss Sandy. Bev is back again. I think, Bev, we've obviously determined that your perspective is a little bit skewed here. And, you know, like I said, it is what it is. Everybody has their position, and some people are simply taking their position because of maybe a relationship or whatever.
I really don't know who that friend is. She seems to know a lot about me, but I don't know who she is. I
Yeah.
really don't care to know either. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah, and Joseph says, when a man killed himself, you know he's a wicked monster. Caroline says, dead man tells no tales. All right, so the comments are just continuing going. We can probably be here all night reading some of these comments. And Juanita says that somebody's using a fake name. I don't know who she's referring to. But, all right, folks, we're going to kind of cut off the comments now. I'm just having a quick look and see if there's any more. Someone says, Ureli says, when people are so quick to judge, if she was the one that died after the attack, what would they be saying now? And Debbie says, agreed. And then Indira says, I want to know too. So some interesting comments there. All right, Sandy, any final words? I mean, obviously, I think you have learned some lessons from this situation that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I'm imagining that you're still going through the healing process as well, both physically and psychologically. What final words would you like to leave with our listeners this evening?
well, I just be careful, you know. Careful who you let in your life, in your family, around your kids and everything. Hoping more, you know, learn people, listen people, and you will learn today. You know what I mean? Take time to know people. And at the end of the day, I really feel bad for him and myself and everything and the kids and all everybody that gets impacted with all of this shit. But just what it is just life. I could have lost my life and my kids would be still mourning this moment. Just as this family mourning, you know. But just have to give God thanks today and for life, you know what I mean? Just be careful who you know people, get to know people. Just that's the best thing to do.
All right, my dear. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you actually reaching out to us and wanting to come on the program. We've been doing, you know, a couple shows on domestic violence. So I think this is definitely an eye opener. So thanks again for joining in, Sandy.
And I will be an advocate for the domestic violence around Kenya.
Yes, we appreciate that very much. Thank you. All right, folks. So this was obviously a very difficult program. I mean, whatever your thoughts are on this situation, at the end of the day, one person was brutally attacked and one person has committed suicide and took his own life. And wherever you stand on this issue, you know, whatever your thoughts are about who's responsible for what, we can only ultimately put the blame for those two final and very life-altering acts at the footstep of Keneal. Despite what people do to us, we ultimately have the choice of how we're going to respond to situations and what we're going to do. Yes, we're all human beings, and at the end of the day, you know, sometimes we don't react in the best ways. We've all been there. We've all been in relationships that were ending, that we were not prepared to let go of them for whatever reason, and we've all done stupid shit, to put it bluntly. But we can't try to victim blame. So we can't say that she cut herself. She didn't cut herself. She didn't stab herself at the top of her head. And I mean, like we see from these pictures, her injuries are quite serious. She didn't self-inflict these injuries. She didn't cut and stab herself across her face. I mean, it looks like, you know, he did some severe damage. And I think at the end of the day, whatever the situation was, he still ultimately had some choices that he could have made differently. And he made the worst possible choices. Even like I said on the last program when we were talking about this, when he attacked her, in my mind, he still had a choice. He could have man up and said, yes, I attacked her, go to court, go through that process. He was only going to be charged with GBH. He probably could have gotten maybe a year or two in jail. Well, nobody would have been pressuring him for money then, because you can't get any money when you're in jail. You know, he still had his whole life ahead of him. He was only 25 years old. He had a child, he had a daughter, he's got a sister that obviously cares enough to come on here and try to defend her brother. So at some level, she loves and cares about her brother, as we would expect. So he still had a whole life ahead of him. God knows how long this man could have lived. Could have lived another 50 years. And he made the choice to take his own life and the circumstances. I don't know if he thought that her injuries were much more serious, and that someone said that they felt like he thought that perhaps he had killed her. I don't know that for a fact, but some persons have shared that. And so ultimately, Keneal Davian Thompson made those choices. And so we have to put that responsibility, you know, at his foot. Forgiveness, I think, is key at this point. Sandy has expressed that, you know, she remains open to even potentially helping the family with expenses. I don't know in terms of his funeral, how many of them would be open to that, but she doesn't sound like a bitter woman. She's saying, you know, she'll probably have to still end up doing that. Someone said, oh, you're still the wife, but is it her obligation when she's also the victim that came very close to losing her own life? It is easy for all of us to sit back and judge the parties in this situation. We're not in it. So we're looking in. And so it is so much easier. But we have to give right, right, and wrong, wrong. She's admitting that, listen, they rushed into this marriage for all of the wrong reasons, because he needed to stay here and he needed to find employment. And perhaps from there, it was just a downward spiral. You know, he had expectations that maybe she was going to continue to allow him to remain in that marriage, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth and whatever. It seems like they were separated more than they were actually married. And at some point, she wanted to move on with her life, she says. He wasn't quite ready. And, you know, she seemed somewhat open to still helping him at some stages. Things just went crazy and they fell apart. Domestic violence is a serious topic in this country. A lot of men and women are subjected to physical violence. This is obviously a very extreme case, but there are other cases of women who are psychologically put in situations, emotionally abused, psychologically abused. Their children in their homes are being exposed to this, and those children grow up accepting violence as part of their fiber, as part of their being. So what I would like to do is to challenge the people of the Cayman Islands to please, let's try to learn from this situation. If you're living in a situation right now where you're a victim, or even if you're an abuser, you need to get out of that relationship and you need to get help. Abusers oftentimes were exposed to toxic, abusive relationships as children, and that was their normal. And that is why they then react to situations in a violent manner. We have to break the cycle. There's too many times when you hear, this person has been assaulted, this person has been beaten up. I mean, someone messaged me over the weekend at the gas station. They witnessed a girl trying to run out of a car, kicking and screaming as the guy was holding her back right here in the Cayman Islands. It has to stop. On Friday is the Silent Witness March, which has been held for a number of years now in Central Town. And it's just a reminder of how many victims there are out there. A lot of times you may not even know who these people are, but they are suffering. And so we need to give them a voice. There are options and resources available. There's the Women's Resource Center. Last week on Thursday, I went to this mental health symposium talking about the implications of domestic violence. And the Women's Resource Center was there. And I still have the flyer here. That's what I'm looking at right now. I still have the flyer here. There were a number of agencies there. And I'm just going to pull out some of these. I want to share these with you guys. If you are in a domestic situation that you need help, there's a crisis center. They have a 914-2725 number. Their 24-hour crisis line is 943-2422. Save this number. They have Estella's Place, which is a walk-in service for victims of domestic and sexual abuse. There's also a kids helpline. So if you're a child and you're being exposed to domestic violence in your home, you have a number where up to the age of 18, you can call this number, and they deal especially with children. So that number is 649-5437. And they're there Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 3 to 6 p.m. And they will help you with bullying, any family issues, if you're feeling suicidal, if you're having problems at school. Please reach out for help before it gets to the stage where someone is hurt, someone is stabbed, someone is killed, or ultimately before you decide to take your own life. There's help, there's hope. As long as you have breath in your body, there's always hope that things can change, and you have to hang on to that hope. Your situations can get better, but if you kill someone, you take your own life, well, that's the end of it. Folks, thank you so much for tuning into the program this evening. I appreciate that some of the comments are still coming in, and I will play those into the final segment here. But I really want to tell you to please avoid these situations. I have not been in a relationship where someone was physically violent with me. One time I was in a relationship with a guy who grabbed my hand. I said, listen, friend, don't ever, because I'm so opposed to this kind of thing. I'm going to tell you once. This was a short-lived relationship. And I said, please, don't ever touch me like that again. Don't grab my hand. Don't talk to me raising your voice in a threatening manner and get in my face like that. Because to me, those were signs that this person would abuse me, would hit me. And it was incumbent on me to put my foot down. And the earliest possible time, it was also incumbent on me to get the hell out of that relationship. And there were so many things, as Sandy was talking tonight, that I can relate to, because again, this was someone, a foreigner from another country, who was raised in that environment, from Colombia. You know, his sister said, oh, well, this is what we do. We fight and we make up, we break up, and it's okay if my husband hits me. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not normal behavior. Don't put yourself in that situation, whether you're a man or a woman. Have higher standards. Do not tolerate it. And if you see these signs early on, don't commit, don't marry these people, don't commit to a long-term relationship because you're simply asking for trouble. Folks, we'll be here again on Thursday. I thank you so much for tuning in to the program this evening. Please be safe, and just a reminder to get help if you need it.
I hear the people talking. What are they talking about? This world's gone crazy, and I'm trying to find a way down. Nobody knows where we're going, or if we're going at all. Nobody cares if we stand, if we have nowhere to fall. It's a sinking symphony, playing as the ship goes down. It's a porcelain epiphany, breaking if it hits the ground. You gotta find a way out. So many questions answered without an answer to time. Too many things on my mind for anything to go well. It's a sinking symphony, playing as the ship goes down. It's a porcelain epiphany, breaking if it hits the ground. Had to find a way out. The ship goes down, so epiphany, breaking if it hits the ground. I gotta find a way I hear the people talking. What are they talking about? This world's gone crazy, and I'm trying to find a way down. Nobody knows where we're going, or if we're going at all. Nobody cares if we stand, if we have nowhere to fall. It's a sinking symphony, playing as the ship goes down. It's a porcelain epiphany, breaking if it hits the ground. You gotta find a way out. So many questions answered certain. Too many things on my mind for anything to go well. It's a singing symphony, playing as the ship goes down. Oh, sweet epiphany, breaking